everyone, Nick Bellis back for another great edition of Football Yards Weekly Picks. We're going to tackle another 3 games for you this week, including giving you our upset of the week. Let's get right to it. You'll notice a theme this week, since I'm doing this from home, is that my son's toys feature quite heavily because that's what we have around. Aww. And we like to get creative with props to represent the various teams. So to start with, we have the Miami Dolphins heading to the West Coast to face the Los Angeles Rams. And what we have for the Rams is this book about a cow with a piece of toilet paper attached. Because let's face it, the Rams are headed for more 7-9 bullshit.
Oh, no, she didn't! Yeah. Oh, yes, she did!
And then we have the Dolphins, who are represented by this book called The Pout Pout Fish, because that's what their fans generally have to do these days. Now, if I was really prepared for this segment, I would have gotten a book about fish that's usually sad but can smile this week. That would be a pretty specific book to find, but, you know, it's probably out there somewhere.
Nerd alert!
And why are the fish smiling this week? Because the Rams are starting Jared Goff under center, and it's going to be his first start of his NFL career. What's that going to do to the LA offense? Maybe not a whole lot. After all, they were starting Case Keenum before. Can you really get much worse than Case Keenum? Probably not. But this is a Rams offense that also managed just 9 points last week, and we didn't see anything from Jared Goff in the preseason that makes us think he's going to be better than Case Keenum, and I actually think he's going to be a small step back, hard as that is to do. Now, Miami's dealing with some injury problems. Brandon Albert is going to be out, and that's big, one of their offensive linemen. It was the return of Albert and Mike Pouncey that really spurred their current 4-game win streak. But that said, they're no longer handing the ball to an aging Arian Foster or trying to run a 4-man running back committee. They are giving the rock to Jay Ajayi, as they should have been doing from the get-go, and that's going to continue working for them to some degree, whether Albert's in there or not. On defense, they have a pretty solid front 7, and Ndamukong Suh is having a good year quietly. Cam Wake is coming back from injury really nicely. That Miami defensive line is going to make Goff's first start a rough one. Take the fish to get by the Rams and their poop.
Yes, you're a big boy, aren't you, sir? Yeah, I'm a big boy. That's a big boy, sir. I'm a big boy. I took a big boy poop. Yes.
Moving on. Our second game of the week comes to us from Mexico City. Where we have the Oakland Raiders, represented by this Jack of Spades, in honor, of course, of Blackjack Del Rio, against the Houston Texans, represented by this whiteout stick, which is what they're wishing they could apply to the contract of Brock Osweiler.
Oh, that's cold.
Now, I was going to go with just a really short ruler as the prop for the Texans, because that's what you would use to measure a Brock Osweiler pass. I believe he averaged about 3.7 yards per attempt last week and passed for a grand total of 99 yards. But, you know, we'll go with the whiteout instead, because that is what management would like to use to solve their entire QB problem. Let's face it, this team would be a legitimate Super Bowl contender if they had a serviceable quarterback. What Osweiler's doing with the weapons around him, we're talking DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, Lamar Miller, Braxton Miller, is just criminal. He is getting absolutely nothing out of them. Unlike Oakland, where you have a lot of weapons at the skill positions. You got Amari Cooper, you got Michael Crabtree, you got Latavius Murray. But in Oakland, you also have a young QB who's turning the weapons around him into, let's call them, weapons of mass production.
You got a gift, my friend. You got a gift.
Oy, sorry about that. Anyway, You're looking at two offenses that are just at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Yes, Oakland's secondary is susceptible. They don't have a great defense, but it's playing a little better, and even if they're playing at their worst, Osweiler is not the kind of quarterback who can take advantage. So there's no real home field advantage in this one, but the Oakland Raiders have been a really good road team. Even if they don't have a bunch of supporters down in Mexico City, we still like the Raiders to get past the Texans.
I like these guys. They're funny guys.
All right, moving on to our last game of the week, and this is our upset special. We have the Buffalo Bills facing the Cincinnati Bengals in the Queen City. And for the Bills, we have this hat, which provides a nice amount of shade. Shout out to Shady McCoy.
Way to run, kid, way to run. Way to run, Shady, way to run, babe.
And for the Bengals, we have the letter A, the letter J, and a thing that is green. I think you can probably crack that code. And why is it appropriate that the Bengals are represented by one player? Because their team basically is one player. This is tough for me. I am a Bengals fan, but this is just not their year, and this is a really bad matchup for them. Last week, they let Rashad Jennings and the basically impotent New York Giants ground game run all over them for 120 plus yards. What's the best rushing team in the league going to do this week? It's scary to think about. So yeah, that's about all you need to know heading into this one. Take the Bills in an upset on the road in Cincinnati.
In the